Right. Okay. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We're very pleased to welcome our very own Matt Ottaway, who is a membership development advisor here at IOSH. He's very kindly agreed to deliver this session today, and we'll shortly be handing over to him. We also have Alison Hind, who is joining us and is very much the driving force behind these Switzerland webinars. And she's going to give you a short introduction. But before I do hand you over to her, I just want to mention a few things. So firstly, for those of you who haven't attended one of our IOSH webinars, I'm Ben Pollard and I take care of the technical aspects of these sessions. So any problems, and I should try to assist as best as I can. So on your screen then, located at the top left-hand side, you should notice a small bar with some written options on them, which are chat and Q&A. If you have any technical issues or audio problems and you need to message me at any point, please use the chat option. And I will try to help. If you have any specific questions for Matt relating to the content of his presentation today, you can ask these in the Q&A option. At the end of Matt's presentation, we'll also go into an interactive Q&A session where you will actually be given the chance to ask some questions verbally as well as in writing. I'll explain more about that part at the midway point once Matt's finished his presentation. So one of the final thing is just to make you aware that this session is being recorded for future playback. So with all that said, I'm going to hand you over to Alison. And Alison, if you'd like to display your slides, and then you can introduce the session.
There, can you see them? Good morning, everyone. I hope that's all come through. Welcome to this webinar. Before we start, I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about what we've been doing at the IOSH Swiss network and what we have planned for the future. Our next big event is the Nespresso visit to the Romont site, which is on the 15th of October. It's going to be a full day, lots planned. We're going to have two talks. The first is by Pierre-Yves Rosé. He's going to talk about safety leadership basic behavior within Nestlé. And this is followed by John Perez, who's going to talk about a case study on culture and leadership engagement. Then we'll go for lunch in the Nestlé cafe, which should be really nice. Sample some of their coffees and whatever else. It's the biggest food manufacturer in the world, so I'm sure they've got lots of things for us to sample there. And then in the afternoon, we have a site tour. And then that's going to be followed by a chance to ask questions about what we've seen. Lots of opportunity for networking. So that's going to be a great day, and I'm going to start bookings for that quite soon. We're just getting the flyer finalized, and then that will come out to you. All right, how do I get next? Okay. We have webinars planned till the end of the year. So James Pomeroy is doing the next one. He's at the beginning of November, 6th of November. He's going to talk about making the safe way the simple way. I've seen James's presentation. It's full of examples of what they did, what worked, what didn't work. Try this. Really hands-on and a really interesting webinar. Then we have Rob Shaw, who's going to talk about preventing slips, trips and falls. So Rob used to work for Health and Safety Laboratory, which is part of the Health and Safety Executive. So he spent many years dealing with accidents, slips, trips, falls. He is absolutely the expert on knowing what footwear, what handrails, what floor covering should be in place. And he has just recently left HSL and set himself up now as a consultant, but still doing a very similar sort of thing and still world-class expert on this subject. And slips, trips and falls are probably the big most accidents happening. So it will be a good one to see. We also, I've just put at the bottom, we're going to give out certificates now if you actually attend the webinar live. So on the enrollment, there will be a tick the box thing if you want a certificate. Because we're talking about CPD today, and quite a lot of that is about collecting evidence. So it was thought that these were going to be a good thing. All right, what else is happening? On the 17th and 18th of September, there's the IOSH conference, which is in Birmingham. IOSH Swiss Network is going to be very well represented there. David Gold is either speaking or administering the different presentations that are going on. So he's very involved there. John Perez is also speaking. So it's going to be really good. I'm there for the second day. If anyone else is going to be there and would like to get in touch, then please, maybe we can arrange to meet up and have a small group there. The day after that, 19th of September, there's the networking meeting. So all the different networks from around the world come together and talk about the policies, and so David and I are both going to go to that, and we will be pushing our case so that we can get the resources we need to expand and to do good things in the future. Lastly, they had some council elections. You've probably got an email if you're an IOSH member and asked to vote. Well, David Gold was elected to council, which again is excellent for the IOSH Swiss network. It's the forum that decides the strategy for IOSH, and David is very vocal in promoting our case there, so that will be really good. Right, Blueprint is something you may have heard of. It's IOSH is just developing it. It's a series of guidelines on how to do health, safety, environment things, good things, and included within the information, there's a self-assessment. So you're going to be able to monitor your understanding and ability to do these different key tasks. So you can see a list of tasks down here. Tony Crowther, who's Technical Liaison Manager, is putting this together and has asked us, he's looking for people to review the information, so experts in these subjects, and he's also looking for people who can try it out and say, did we understand it, sort of usability type issues. So there's a big list down here. If you're interested in any of those and are able to help out, then please get in touch with Tony or get in touch with me. So just finally, if you want to go on any of our mailing lists or ask any questions, find out more about what we do, then please get in contact with me. I'm the country coordinator officially, my title, and that's my email address there. We also have a WhatsApp site and a LinkedIn site, and all you have to do is search on IOSH Swiss Network and you can join those. The WhatsApp has been really good for discussions and planning and information, whereas the LinkedIn one is a more static, we have this activity planned, this activity planned. Both of them, it would be wonderful to hear your thoughts, get more contributions towards it, and make them a success. Okay, thank you very much for your time. I'd now like to hand over to Matt Ottaway, who's going to talk to us about CPD. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Alison. Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the IOSH CPD webinar. As Alison stated, my name is Matthew Ottaway, and I'll be conducting the webinar this morning. A bit of a background, first of all, just to make sure you're aware of what takes place. So, the webinar generally lasts 30 to 45 minutes maximum, and that includes the questions that we take. Generally speaking, I mean, it can vary, like I say, depending on the questions, but I aim for 30 to 45 minutes. Throughout, I'll be taking sips of water, so please bear with me. I do get a dry throat doing these things, to be honest with you, so just ignore that. So what is included is that there is an introduction to CPD, first of all, to give you a bit of a background to CPD, make sure you're aware of why we do this, what's involved, what's required, etc. Then what I'll do is I will actually log in to a general account that we have here at IOSH and show you how to set up a development plan, how to set up an activity, and then how to cancel an activity. Once that's done, we'll go back and onto the slides, and I'll allow you to ask any questions you may have after the demonstration. And that's about it. I'm looking at my notes here, and I think we're good to go. So we'll kick off. So Lacey, I'm Matthew Ottaway from the Professional Development Team, and this is CPD, Safeguarding and Boosting Your Professional Status. So as I said before, a bit of background for CPD. First of all, why are we doing it? So I should say we, because I do CPD as well, and IOSH was granted a Royal Charter in 2002 to pursue objectives in the public interest, including maintaining standards for the safety and health profession. A key part of maintaining the profession includes setting requirements for the continuing professional development of eligible members. So what CPD actually is a core principle of modern professional practice, integral part of professional life, irrespective of career or status. It enables public confidence in occupational safety and health professionals. And these next 2 points are quite important. So it is available for all IOSH members, but is mandatory for technical, graduate, chartered, and chartered fellowship members. You will see there that affiliate, associate, and the new student membership is not included. All members are welcome to take part in CPD, and we do encourage student members, affiliate members, and associate members to take part in CPD, but it is not considered mandatory, so you do not have to do it, so to speak. So what will CPD do for you? How can you use CPD? So it helps you create a structured career path as well as safeguarding and boosting your professional status. It will enable you to give competent advice, develop your skills, knowledge, and expertise. It identifies your strengths and weaknesses. When you're putting your information in there, you can see what you're aiming for and how you can better yourself as a professional. It's an opportunity for you to log and reflect. It creates a professional impression and demonstrates that you are maintaining your skills. Those last 2 points there can be used in the fact that you see when you're doing your CPD, and I'll show you later on during the demonstration, but with your CPD, you can actually print off your activities and development plan, or you can email them. You can download them as PDFs. Every now and then I tend to talk to members who are asking, how can I prove to people I'm doing my CPD without having them actually log into it? Well, you can download a PDF form and send it on to them if need be. So the opportunity is there for you to show that you're maintaining your skills. So it's also part of the IOSH Code of Conduct, so we are bound to that. So according to the IOSH Code of Conduct, members are required to ensure they are competent and are required to undertake appropriate CPD and record it in a manner prescribed by IOSH. As per IOSH Regulation 3 on continuing professional development, this standard applies to all members and mandatory CPD requirements and is further described in the CPD requirements. So as I say, it is part of the Code of Conduct, so we are bound to that, and that's one of the other reasons why we have to do it. Okay, so take some time to drink all that in. The 4 stages to a successful CPD record. So plan, do, reflect, review. So we'll start with plan and we'll go clockwise. So we will begin with the development plan, and during the demonstration, that's how I'll kick things off, with the development plan, as it also asks us to do so. But like I say, we'll come to that during the demonstration. So first of all, identify your goals and objectives by using the Blueprint self-assessment tool. Now, Alison mentioned Blueprint a moment ago. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it because this is CPD, not Blueprint, but you can use Blueprint, which is accessible now on the IOSH site. If you go to My CPD, you'll see that there is a mark there for Blueprint, so you're welcome to click on there and assess yourself that's what it's about. But also, as Alison said, it is being built, so to speak, so it's still going through some change at the moment to really bolster it up, but that's there for you as well. So what are your strengths and weaknesses, and log any upcoming learning opportunities. That's the idea of the development plan, to look at yourself, look at where you are and where you want to be. So moving along, we go to do, your activities completed. Add activities based on your future goals and objectives, how you built on your strengths and weaknesses, or have you built, so I beg your pardon, on your strengths and weaknesses. So looking at what you've got in your development plan, what activities are you going to do to build upon that? So you're looking at where you want to go, where you want to be in the next 6 months, should we say. Look at yourself, what activities, what can we do to get there? So reflect on your learning. Consider what you have learned and or the skills gained from completing the activity. Identify strengths and any areas of improvement. So we're looking at the activities themselves. So you've done a particular activity, it's happened, it's been accomplished, reflect upon it. So again, this will become clearer, shall we say, during the demonstration, but you've done an activity, you put the information into your CPD, look back at yourself, have you gained anything from that particular activity? Did you learn anything from completing that activity? And then finally, review. Have you achieved your goals or your objectives set out in your development plan? This review will help you identify your next CPD objectives and goals. So what we've done there, we've gone full circle. So the review section comes back around. So let's say we're 6 months into the future. So we're looking at the development plan that we created, and did we reach those goals and objectives that we took aim at? Did we get there? And if not, why not? Is it something we need to build on? Again, I'll go into more detail about this during the demonstration, but that brings us around full circle, like I say, and back to another development plan so we can set out more goals, more objectives, and maybe continue on the ones we didn't accomplish. So recording the CPD itself, the development plan, as I've said over and over again now already, is the first step to the CPD. That's where we kick things off. It's the first thing to do is the CPD. So how to write your development plan. Now feel free to take notes here, but as I say, I'll be doing a demonstration shortly, so you can take notes then if you wish. Either way is absolutely fine. So the development plan should include an overview, let's just say an overview of the following: your current job roles and the responsibilities that you hold in your job role, your goals and objectives for the next 6 to 12 months. To be honest, I tend to say 6 months. 12 months would have it too much information, I feel. So I think that we do enough in 6 months really to fit in the CPD development plan. And your strengths and weaknesses. The strengths and weaknesses, I tend to find as well, they kind of tie in with the goals and objectives. You tend to find that you want to accomplish something, so that can be a weakness. But you can add that if you wish. That's absolutely fine. It's completely up to you. Okay, so that was the development plan. Now we're looking at the activities themselves. So the development plan, I should say, by the way, is about what we're doing now and what we're doing in the future. So I've mentioned already, it's about your job role, your responsibilities, your goals and objectives. So we can think about the development plan again. The job roles and responsibilities are what you're doing now, what is happening today. The goals and objectives is about the future, so what you're planning to do. So the development plan is about today and tomorrow, the present and the future. Your activities is about yesterday, it is about your past. So I don't necessarily mean years and years ago. It could be last week, it could be yesterday, but it's in the past. An activity, something you can reflect on, something you have done. So to write your reflective statements, 4 simple questions to help you write the reflection. So the ones you see in front of you: what was the activity? Why did you carry out this activity? What understanding did you gain? And how you apply the knowledge gained? So the first 2 is about what the activity actually is, and the second 2 questions are about reflecting on the activity, looking back at it. What did you pick up? And what you did pick up, how is that beneficial to you? And again, we'll go into this during the demonstration. Okay, so support from IOSH. Now then, to be honest with you, the question I get asked more than anything when it comes to CPD is quite simply, what is an activity? What is defined as an activity? And you see before you there some examples of activities. So work-based learning, professional activity, formal learning, self-directed learning, and it says other. So it's varied, as you can see. I always say, when somebody says what is an activity is anything that you do in professional capacity that you feel you have learned from. Now that can be a positive or a negative experience. As long as you've learned something from the experience and you feel it's helped you in some way or another, that is an activity. Inside or outside health and safety, I should say as well. You may have health and safety as a secondary role, or you may have other roles as well. If you've learned something from them in your professional capacity, that is considered an activity. Whether it's something as large as a diploma, something you've been creating for so long that you have to present, for example, or it can be something as minor. It can be something such as reading an article, you've learned something from it, you feel that could help you. This webinar, really, hopefully people are picking up information from this webinar, and it can be used as a CPD activity. So again, support from IOSH. So what does IOSH do for you to support you for your CPD? So of course, IOSH is committed to supporting you through your CPD journey. We can provide the following range of tools and advice. Now, we offer dedicated support and encouragement, such as again, this webinar. Guidance on maintaining your online record. We do have various documents we send out to members. So for those of you today listening who have not received any kind of documents, or we have some PDFs we send out to members, please feel free to send an email to membership@iosh.com asking for the CPD guidance if you would like to receive it. It's a fantastic bit of information and it really, really helps. It has guidance information, it tells you how to set it up, and it has demonstrations of how an activity and development plan should look. A range of learning opportunities are available. That goes with the courses. You may say, really, they can use the courses. They can also go on your CPD. Networking and knowledge sharing opportunities. Absolutely. The branch events, I mean, it goes without saying, really, sharing opportunities there. IOSH magazine and the Connect e-bulletin update. So again, like I said before, the fact that you can pick up information from an article and that can be considered an activity. So that's the end of the introduction. So what we're going to do now, Ben is going to have a bit of a mess around with the techie stuff and he's going to change screens for me, and we're going to log into the IOSH site. Okay, so this is a screen I hope everyone is familiar with, IOSH website. And this is how we log in, excuse me, to the CPD. So first of all, we click on My IOSH. Let's log me up here. One moment, please. There we go, log back in. Okay, so once you're logged in and you've clicked on My IOSH, on the left side here is My CPD. Now, I mentioned earlier about Blueprint. You'll see IOSH Blueprint is there. So for those of you who are interested in looking into that, it is there. It's also down here, Assess Your Professional Skills. I won't go into that now because, of course, it is a CPD webinar, but for your information, that's there for you. So, My CPD, and then update your CPD online now. There we go. Okay, so this here is the landing page for the CPD. It's also the landing page for, especially if you've never accessed CPD, because you can see that yellow box flashing at you. You currently don't have a development plan and diary, so it's asking you, telling you, should I say, that is the first thing you need to do. So what we're going to do is going to kick straight off with doing just that. Now, when it comes to adding an activity, whether it be the activities or the development plan, we do it all in the same place. On the right side of the screen, add new activity. So we'll click there. And it brings us to this screen here. So this is the CPD detail screen, as we call it. Now, I should also say this is the second screen, and that's it. There are two screens to the CPD, the one you've just seen, and then this one. And that's it. It is that basic. That's all there is to it. So let's get started. So the first thing, like I said before, we're going to create is the development plan. So the title we're going to give it, I'm sure you all guessed, is Development Plan. So the status of the development plan is, and always will be, started. The reason for that is because once you started the development plan, it doesn't finish, it continues. You simply update it, and that's all there is to it. It's always a started development plan. The start date is today, even for those of you who might have been members for quite some time, for months, maybe even a year or so, but you've never actually done CPD, you may have been affiliate or associate, whatever it may be, or you got left behind, doesn't matter. If you're starting today, the start date is today. The end date is, in this case, it's the 6th of March. Now, that's not a special date by any means. That's just 6 months in the future. That's why I've chose that date. So 6th of March, 6 months from today, that's what we're aiming for. So what we're looking at is between today and March next year, what do I want to accomplish? And that's the purpose of the development plan. Before we get onto that though, it's also about what's happening today. What is your current job role and responsibilities? Now, of course, I'm not going to type up my entire job role and responsibilities and my goals for the next 6 months right away. So I'm simply going to type in the questions that we mentioned earlier, or the pusher questions, shall we call them. So, have we gone? Okay. So, job roles and responsibilities, or what are my job roles and responsibilities. So you can simply put your title in there and what you do, or you can copy and paste your job specification to there. Either is fine. Okay, what are my goals and objectives for the next 6 months? As you can all tell, my goal is to learn how to type. So, what are my goals for the next 6 months? So then, and that's what the development plan is all about. So we're looking at what we're doing now and what we want to accomplish in the next 6 months. So you're looking at your future and what you want to reach out for, what you want to strive for. And that's all there is to it. It's as basic as that. I'm going to answer a question before you ask it. How much information needs to go in there? That there is no answer to that question, really. What goes in there, and that's all there is to it. Your job role and responsibilities, that is what it is. You can't really put an amount on that because you've got your job role, responsibilities. The goals and objectives, if you aim for, let's say, 4 or 5, if I was asked to give a number, it doesn't have to be that amount. You have your goals, you have your objectives, they are what they are, again, and that's all there is to it. So we're going to pretend there is notes in there. We're going to click box A, the development plan and diary, and then we're going to click save. Done. Okay, and that is a development plan setup. The yellow box has stopped flashing at us and telling us we need to create a development plan and diary, and you'll see under section A, there is a title. Now, I mentioned earlier about showing people that you've been completing your CPD. Now, if we look here, there is a little box with a black arrow in the middle of it, and you'll see if I highlight my icon over there, it says download this CPD activity as a PDF file. So, and that's how you do it. If I click that now, I'm not sure if it pops up or not because it didn't last time, so I'm going to leave it. But if you click on there, that will bring a downloadable version of said activity or development plan, which you can print off, you can email, whatever may be. So the option is there for you. If you need to go back into your activity or development plan, simply click on the title and it takes you back. Simple as that. Okay, so that's the development plan out of the way. Now we're going to kick off an activity. So same place, the far right side of the screen, add new activity. And the screen's the same. It's set up the same because the only difference is the information you're putting in. The setup is identical. So what I'm going to do is, as an activity, I'm going to use a smaller activity, should we say, and it's going to be the webinar that is taking place now because it's something we've all got in common. So we can put that in. CPD webinar, or more to the point, IOSH CPD webinar. Now I'm going to tell a little white lie and say that the status is finished, just because when creating an activity, I always recommend the activity is finished when you're putting it in. There's not much point in creating an activity if you're halfway finished it. Let's just say, for example, that you're carrying out an audit for whatever reason may be, and it takes longer than a couple of days, and you started the activity when you're halfway through it. Well, then you started it, you have to go back to when it's finished and reflect upon it. It's just messy. Only create an activity when it's finished. So the start date for this webinar is today. The end date for this webinar is also today. So in the notes box, I'm going to use the questions, or my questions will be similar to the ones I mentioned during the introduction to CPD. So first question, the most obvious one. What was the activity? So what actually was this particular activity? Why did you do it? So why did you choose to do this activity? What was the reason behind it? Were you asked to do it? Was it something you did because you felt you would gain information from it? Was it something you chose? Why did you do it? What did I learn from the activity? So that's the first reflective question. Looking back, what did I learn from this activity? And finally, how will I use this new knowledge in future? So that's the second reflective question in the notes there. So what was it? Why did I do it? What did I learn? And how will I use this knowledge? With that, that's an activity. You don't have to put those questions into every activity. That's just there to guide you. So you can jot that down if you want to. You can answer the questions in simple sentence format. You can bullet point it. You can put the questions like that, whatever. It's your CPD. It's your activity. Write it how you please. Now, there's something I didn't mention, which I'm sure you all may have noticed during the development plan, was the upload files feature on the left side here. So that is an option. It is not mandatory to use that. It is an option for those who want to upload any kind of files, whether it be certificates, whatever it may be, to support their activity. It's there largely because members asked for it. I think like a couple of years ago, people kept asking, where can I add my certificates? Where can I add my reports? And we didn't have the opportunity to do that. So it's been added there now. So if you want to upload anything to support your activity, click on there, upload. Easy as that. So we're going to look at this activity from my side at the moment. So it's a CPD webinar that I'm conducting. Now, I've done these webinars before. So if we're looking at assign activity type here at the bottom, we have A, B, C, and D. We allocated A, the development plan and diary earlier, but we're doing an activity now, so we're looking at B, C, and D. In this instance, as I said before, because it's looking at on my side, this is a maintenance of skills. As I say, I have done this before, so it's maintaining what I have done previously. It is not section C. It is not new professional skills, as this is not particularly new to me. And it also qualifies as section D, transferable management skills. What that means is I'm passing on knowledge or information to somebody else, so the people here today. So that's what transferable management skills are. I admit the wording is a bit confusing, I have to say, but what the idea is it's transferring skills to another. And as you can see there, I've ticked 2 boxes. It doesn't have to be just one. In fact, it can be, if you wish, all 3. It can just be the one. But in this instance, looking on from my side, it's 2. And I will click on save. So we don't see it straight away. I'll expand all sections, and you'll see there are other activities throughout the CPD. I'll expand all sections, and we see that my new activity, IOSH CPD Webinar, is located here under B and D. And it's as simple as that. That's how you create an activity, and you'll see all these boxes here where you can download the PDFs should you need to. So what I'll do now before we finish is I'm going to show you how to cancel an activity, because as you can see, there is no delete button, nothing at all. It doesn't exist. You have 2 options when it comes to deleting an activity. The first one is you overwrite it. So as you can see before, you can edit an activity whenever and however. So in this instance, I don't know, just to keep it a bit close to home, we'll just pretend this is an IPD webinar for argument's sake. We'll leave the status as finished, because as I said before, the status will always be finished no matter what. We will change the dates. We'll pretend the webinar lasted a couple of days, and we'll just delete some information here just to show that we can. And we will change the location of the activity to section C. So now it's a completely different activity altogether. Click save. And now it's an IPD webinar. Completely different information, completely different location. That's option 1. Option 2 is to cancel the activity. Quite simple. Status, cancelled. And then click on save. And it's as easy as that. And you'll see that has now completely gone. However, it has not necessarily disappeared. It's been moved down to here. Cancelled activities. And here we see IPD webinar. So they never really disappear. You can override them. If you keep cancelling activities, that can get a bit built up. So it's up to you either way. There is no wrong way to do it, but they are the 2 ways to do it. Okay, that's it. That's the end of the demonstration. So we've gone over development plan activities, how to cancel. So now I think it's time for some questions. If you do have any questions, fire away. And I think Ben's going to read them out to me. So I'll do my best to answer the questions for you.
Right, okay. So thank you very much, Matt. I hope you all of you who are listening have found that very useful. So we're going to move on to the Q&A session aspect now, and how this is going to work is on your screen at the top left side you should now see the option to raise a hand. If you have a question that you would like to ask verbally, then you can click on that raise a hand option, and I will at some point basically ask you to then ask a question. I'll give you audio rights, and you'll be able to ask your question verbally. So please be aware that you will need to have some form of computer microphone or headset in order to be heard. For the purpose of the recording that is posted online, no video or webcams will be displayed, but everyone will still be heard. So if you don't want to actually be involved in this part, you can still ask your questions to Matt in writing through the chat box, and I can ask you that on your behalf. So with all that said, I'm actually going to kick off the questions from one of the written ones that has already come in, and then we'll continue from there. So this first question that has come in, Matt, has said, if I have already set up a development plan in the past and completed this and would like to complete a new development plan for the next 6 months, do I create a new development plan by adding a new activity, or should I amend the existing one and amend the date range?
Okay, excellent. Good question. Now, I get that one quite often, to be honest with you. What I'm going to do is, I'm just going to double check this first. Ben, can I go back to the page? That's okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you rather than tell you. So if we just go back to the screen. So let's pretend this is your development plan. We'll open it up, click on the title. And below, we'll pretend that it's the date. So you said that you've got a development plan already, and you're asking, do I create a new one or expand on the old one? To be honest, the answer is either. I advise to expand on the old one, just to keep it going and going and going. So if we're looking at this one in particular, this one ends, it says ends, but really it just resets, should we say, in March next year. So I would simply type below my existing notes, March 2019. I would change the start date to March, and the end date would go 6 months. So it just keeps rolling and rolling on. So with that in mind, so you'd add that there, and you'd update simply, excuse me, if there is any different roles, responsibilities you might have, new objectives, new goals, and keep going. Alternatively, you are welcome to create a new development plan. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend that because they can get a bit convoluted, really. But I tend to say if you create, it's expand every 6 months on the existing development plan. If it starts to get a bit too large, shall we say, then yes, create a new development plan. But generally, just stick to the same one.
Excellent. Okay. I imagine this has actually already been semi-covered, really. How do you manage the end date for the development plan after the first 6 months? Okay.
Sorry, could you repeat the question, please, Ben?
So how do you manage the end date for the development plan after the first 6 months?
Okay, so I think I just answered that question in the demonstration, really. So when the 6 months runs out, you can just expand upon it. If you want, you can change your start date as well. So the start date is the day you're updating it. But generally speaking, just push the end date 6 months further back, and that's all you used to do. So like I say, with the end date, just push it back another 6 months so you can see that's the date you're working towards.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Apologies for that brief bit of sound there. Okay, another question then here is, how is IOSH actually using people's CPD?
We don't use people's CPD if you mean to use for our own benefit, absolutely not. But if you mean to check the CPD is used in the sense that if you are transferring your category of membership, then the CPDs, we do check to make sure it's maintained. So if, in the sense that if it's maintained but not actually correctly in the way it should be, so there's no development plan in place but there's plenty of activities, we look at that and we will advise you what needs to be done. If you're going through the transfer with initial professional development, and that is the IPD, so changing to a chartered member, your CPD does go through an actual audit. So you make sure everything is in order. And again, of course, if there's anything incorrect or the member is not completely understanding what is required, we will contact you and advise you accordingly. But yeah, we don't use any individual CPD for any of our own benefit at all.
Excellent. Okay. Must all activities be limited to OSH, or can there be other types of activities like learning new, not safety-related skills, as it were?
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so no, it's a wide range. It does not have to be health and safety related. The fact is, people who work in health and safety, generally speaking, not always of course, but generally speaking, they tend to have other roles as well. So the activities in CPD do not have to be just health and safety centered. They can be anything else. Like you asked, if it can be another kind of learning, yes, it can, absolutely.
Excellent. And another one here, is it mandatory to provide or upload evidence of the activity?
Absolutely not, no. The only thing mandatory is a reflective statement. The upload facility is there for your benefit should you wish to use it. You do not have to use it. It's there if you want it.
Excellent. Okay. So it looks as though we've had all of the, well, certainly we've had all of the written questions. I can't see anyone who has raised a hand who's interested in asking a verbal question. So it looks as though we've gone through them all. If there are any more questions, of course, please put them in now. Otherwise, we can assume that Matt has successfully covered all of the questions that you wanted to ask. Alison, is there anything that you would like to add at all towards the end of the webinar? Any questions you have?
It was great. I thought it was all really clear. I can certainly say that from experience, if you try and work it out without this guidance, it's more complicated than Matt has presented. So I'm going to go back and have a look at mine and tidy it up enormously, because I've got bits all over the place. You know, there's this huge web because we've been doing it for a long time. So thank you very much, Matt. It's made a huge difference for me, and
Excellent.
I hope for other people that are here as well.
Thank you, Alison. Okay, we do actually have, whilst you were just chatting there, another question has come in, so we've got a couple more minutes left anyway, so we will go to it. So this person has asked, what are the differences between maintenance of new skills, and transferable skills?
Okay, so right, so sections B, C, and D. Section B, maintenance of skills. That is an activity or a skill that you are already competent in, you've done before, but you are doing again, either because it's something you do day in, day out, or because you are, should we say, relearning, picking up new information on. So if you're doing something day in, day out, you might not really be, it may not be considered an activity because you're probably not learning anything from it. I include it when I do these webinars because I learn something every time I do these webinars. So that's considered maintenance of skill. New professional skills is what it sounds like, really, something that's new to you. You've never done it before, so it's new. And then finally, transferable management skills is you passing on knowledge to somebody else. So if you are a trainer, a teacher, whatever it may be, you will find that happens more often than not. So that's a transferable management skill, you passing on knowledge to another.
Excellent. Okay, brilliant. That does look like it was the last question. We are coming up to the 9:45 mark, 10:45 for some of you, I suppose. So we can, at that point, we'll end the session. Again, thank you, Matt, for coming and delivering that. I think a lot of people have found that very useful. Alison, thank you very much for coordinating and organising it all. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, Alison, at all, or no?
I'm good. Thank you
Okay.
very much. Yes, please come to the activities that we're doing in the future. Please
Yes.
come to the Nestle site. It will be great.
Excellent. Okay, so for all of you listening, a recording of this has been made. So what I will do is I'll put this together, and once it's available, Alison we can get it sent out to you. So if there's anything that you missed or if you had any issue, you can of course play this back at a later stage as well. So all that's really left to say is thank you everyone for being involved. A massive thank you to Matt and Alison for all their work with it. And I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll end the meeting now, so you will all be sort of kicked out of the room in the next sort of 30 seconds or so. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Bye.